quick little thing. There is Exploring Azeroth Northrend, TLDR. Let's hope they don't fuck it up like they fucked up Calendar. And it's slated to release November 15th, which is actually very soon. Oh shit!
If that's released,
shit! It's gonna be full of.
It's gonna be full of Reichel lore. It's gonna be full of Yogg-Saron lore. We're going to maybe have an idea where Avalorn is.
Yeah. Okay. So that could be fun. We'll see. We'll see. And see, I like these in a way that is kind of like almost more so than Chronicle, because like these are overtly a character going, and it's so like you do get a bit of a story at the same time as you're getting the lore, and even the little characterful things like characters writing things in the margins and all of that, and then you get that with the really beautiful art. Like it's a format that I really enjoy, and I'm glad that with like Grimoire and the Exploring series that they're leaning more into that, because I think it's something that I think is a real strength. If you look at any of like Loot No 9's content on Warhammer, so I'm going to mention Warhammer again. If you look at any of his content, right, one of the biggest strengths there is that the Warhammer verse is like quite purposefully, it's like nothing is canon and everything is canon. Obviously everything is canon.
It's not narrator canonized, right?
Yeah. It's not just like, this is how everything is. It's always, here's a Black Library book from this perspective.
This is how X sees Y. This is how Z sees Y, as opposed to this is Y, how it is.
Yeah, which I think is the way to go when you are making... See, it's weird. There are different ways to go when you're making a secondary world. There's like the more Tolkien-ish approach. You look at George R. R. Martin, and that's kind of fun, because like Fire and Blood, which is what House of the Dragon, Hot D. By the way, George calls it Hot D, and I call it Hot D too. Fuck yeah, Hot D. Also, that show is fucked up good. Holy shit. But anyway, what's fun about that is the actual book is like written from the perspective of a maester and like a minstrel. I think, right? So it's kind of fun even watching Hot D the show and seeing, what version of the story was right. Was the minstrel right? Was the maester right? That ends up being kind of fun. And I just think it's a way to tell stories while keeping things open, because like I don't see the show of Hot D, like it has to choose a direction in something, because it's not a history from like a secondary source, I guess. So Hot D's got to be like, well, they did shag or they didn't shag, even though it's ambiguous and there's two different accounts. One of them has to be true. So it still works in like, you get the reveal, you see what really happened. It works in every direction, and it's surprising how well that works. So basically, yes, I think this is totally the way to do things. I think Blizzard should probably not do a Chronicle-like project again. Instead, they should do these. They should have it rooted in story, in adventure. It gives them so much more room as storytellers, and they can also, I think, imbue a lot more character into the story, instead of just being like, here's the official record, because in a way that could be kind of like less rich, and it kind of puts them into a position where they have to explain everything. So in Exploring Azeroth Northrend, they just need to do a cool story and a cool check-in in these regions, right? But they have a lot of freedom there. Whereas if this was Encyclopedia Northrend, now suddenly they have to fucking canonize everything. And that is going to be way harder to do. I mean, imagine if FF14 canonized shit in mid-Heavensward.
Yeah.
Like, canonized the Assassins, canonized all this shit. When we know for a fact that the plans for, like, Endwalker and Shadowbringers, which obviously do involve the Assassins and co quite heavily, those were not known about.
Yeah, you never say more than you need to.
Yeah.
And that's where Chronicle took a big kind of nosedive of, here's everything set in stone. You're like, what if you want to change that? And then they have to historical revisionism with, the Titans were, from Titans' perspective, that was, and they were all bastards.
Yeah, whereas you look at this, and this is clearly from, isn't it Magni? No, Muradin. This is from Muradin's perspective.
Yeah.
And suddenly it's infinitely more reasonable that way.
Mm-hmm.